Today, we're going to create collage-style animations in DaVinci Resolve with a few simple steps. Before we start, we need to set up the collage easily so we can animate it in DaVinci Resolve. If you want to create your own collage design, you can download free assets on Pixabay, VectEasy, or you can use AI prompts to generate your own specific images. The next thing that we'll need is some kind of photo editing software to build our design. You can use something like Photoshop or Affinity Photo. So to get this into DaVinci Resolve, we'll need to export it as a PSD file. I'm not sure in Photoshop, but in Affinity, it's very easy. You go to File and then Export and just click on Export. And then you can select this PSD option, Preserve Accuracy. That's the one that we'll need. Then you can just hit Export. Since we're making collage style videos, you know finding the right elements is easily the most time-consuming part. Spending hours hunting for the perfect cutout is a massive time sink. And genetic stock footage usually ruins the vibe. I tried using AI to speed things up, but I wasted even more time guessing prompts and getting bad results. That's why I took the AI for Designers class on Skillshare. I wanted to stop the trial and error and actually learn the logic behind how the prompts work. Now, instead of wasting hours searching, I can generate the exact textures I need on the first try. It's a huge time saver that lets me focus on the animation that we're doing today. Skillshare has creative classes taught by world-class creatives, like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and successful entrepreneurs. It's the best place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. If you're looking to reconnect with your creativity and maybe avoiding brain rot, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from other humans. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Go check it out. In our DaVinci Resolve project, add a Fusion composition, drag it out to about 6 seconds, and then go into the Fusion page. I have this layout. To get this layout, go to Workspace, Layout Presets, Fusion Presets, select Mid-Flow Layout. To import our Photoshop file, we're going to go to Fusion, Import PSD file. Then we'll find the file that we want to import and open that. So now we've got our background at the top. In Fusion, it's turned around, it's swapped around. Whatever's at the top of the list here now is at the bottom, and whatever's at the bottom is at the top. So the end of the node tree, normal 17, we're gonna drag this out and connect it to the media out. And our design is exactly as it is in Photoshop. Quick adjustments that we're gonna make to this file. Between normal 17 and the media out, we're gonna add a transform, change the Y to 0.4. It's just gonna move the whole thing down for us. And then we're gonna go to paper texture, the merge on the paper texture, change the Y to 0.6. So we're gonna start from the back and then we're gonna animate to the front. Let's just turn everything off. Select all these, I don't know why it's called normal, but they basically merge nodes. So just turn everything off, except the paper texture. We want to leave the paper texture on and everything else will turn it off. The first thing we want to animate in is going to be the tower. We're going to turn the tower on. Let's add a transform node and then rename this transform node to tower T. Okay, so selecting the tower, we're going to add a keyframe on 0 on the aspect and the center. Go to frame 20. Add another keyframe on aspect and center, and then back to 0, pull the aspect down, put the center y-axis on 0.3. But we have a little piece of the tower still showing in the beginning. On size, on 0, add a keyframe, and then go forward 1 frame, add another keyframe on size, go back to frame 0, and just pull it down. Open the spline window, select everything, zoom to fit, S on our keyboard. Let's drag these last ones out a little bit. And now it's easy. We don't have to animate every single one from scratch. So the next is the Colosseum. So we're going to copy this tower, Control C, click on the Colosseum, Control V, and then we'll rename this to COLT. Just going to turn the Colosseum's merge on, but we don't want them both to grow in at the same time, right? Open the keyframes, search for COLT, zoom to fit, select all these keyframes, and then just move all these keyframes up to frame 5. We're going to do the same thing something with the stone building as well. Copy the Colosseum transform, Control and C, select the stone building, Control V, and then we'll just rename them, F2 on your keyboard, and I'll just call it stone T. And now we're going to open the keyframes again, search for the stone T. Let's go to frame 10 and then select everything and move them up. Oh, we need to activate the stone buildings merge node to see the building, right? Okay, the next one we want to activate is the hedge. Add a transform node and we'll call this hedge T. Add a keyframe on center on frame 10 and then go to frame 30. We're going to add another keyframe there, go back to frame 10, and the X, we're going to move this out of the frame. Open the spline window, select everything, S on your keyboard, and drag this last part out. We'll select the stone transform, copy, and search for the gate. Just enable the gate again, and then we're going to add this grow transform, paste, and we'll rename this to gate T. Selecting the gate, open the keyframes and search for gate. Select everything here and we'll move them up to frame 15. By the way, if you're looking for high-end layouts that saves you a ton of time, go check out the core suite in my store. They're designed to do the heavy lifting for you, so you never have to fight the spline window again. We're going to add the same transform node to trees 3 and trees number 1. Copy, rename these transforms. Select trees 3. I want it to come in at frame 20 and I want the animation to be shorter. Open the spline windows. We're going to select everything, select the linear mode to make them linear again. Right click on the spline and then go to ease and select out back. And the same with, I'm just going to copy this animation to trees 1. So I'm going to copy, select trees 1 and paste that. Rename this to trees 1. Go to the keyframes. I want trees 1 to start at frame 25. So the next one we're going to add is our birds. Enable the merge node, selecting birds 1, add a transform. Let's just call this birds 1 T. On frame 25, add a keyframe on the center, and on frame 45, add another keyframe on center, go back to frame 25, pull this Y down so it just disappears behind the Colosseum. I'm going to enable the spline window, select the keyframes, S on your keyboard, and drag this last part out. So now when we're at the start of our animation, we see the birds there. So select the merge of the birds node, the birds merge node, go to frame 25, go 1 frame back to frame 24, add a keyframe on blend, and then go back to frame 25, add another keyframe, go back to frame 24, and just pull this down. So now when we go to the beginning, we won't see the birds there. The next thing we're going to animate is the statue. Enable this merge. You can copy the grow of the gate. So select the statue and paste that in. And we're going to rename this statue T. Open the keyframes and search for the statue. Go to frame 27 and then just move these up. Activate the circle background. I want to increase the size just a little bit. Add a transform node, rename that circle T. On frame 25, we're going to add a keyframe on center. Go to frame 40, add another keyframe there, and go back to frame 25 and pull this up out of the screen. Select our spline window. Then we're going to select our keyframes, right click, go to ease, and select out back cubic again. So enable our clouds, add a transform node again. We're using a lot of transform nodes here. Rename this clouds 1T. On frame 30, we're going to add a keyframe on size. Go to frame 45, add another keyframe on size, back to 30, and just pull the size down. Open the spline window, select everything, S on your keyboard, and drag this last part out. You're going to copy this, Control C, search for clouds 2, and then paste this in. Rename that to clouds 2, and then open our keyframes, search for the clouds 2 transform, zoom to fit everything, and we want the clouds 2 to start at frame 35. Drag these keyframes up to frame 35. Select our birds, enable the merge node on birds 3. Open your select tool, add transform in there. F2 on your keyboard, rename this to birds 3T. We're gonna start at frame 35, keyframe on center, and then go to frame 55, keyframe on center, go back to frame 35, just pull these birds out this way. Then open our spline window, zoom to fit, drag this last part out, and we're almost done. Okay, selecting our airplane, add another transform node there, and call this airplane T. On frame 40, we're gonna add a keyframe on center, and on frame 55, we're gonna add another keyframe on the center. Back to frame 40, just enable our airplanes merge. I always forget that. Select the transform again. On frame 40, we'll pull this out so our airplane just leaves the screen. Open the spline window, select everything, zoom to fit, S on your keyboard, and drag this last part out. Enable the merge connected to the tram image. Add in a transform node as well. Call this tram T. And on frame 40, add a keyframe on size and on center. Go to frame 60, add another keyframe there, go back to frame 40, pull this, zoom down. As we zoom down, we're gonna move this down, let's say 0.3, yeah. And then we'll decrease the size all the way to 0. Open the spline window, zoom to fit, select all your keyframes, S on your keyboard, and drag these last parts up, the size and the direction. We've got these clouds, we just want them to fade in, so we don't need to add a transform node on that. Just gonna activate this merge node there. On frame 45, add a keyframe on blend, and then go to frame 55, add another keyframe there, go back to 45, drag the blend down. Enable the merge node on the man, add a transform node, call this man T, go to frame 45 as well, add a keyframe on center and on size, and go to frame 65, add another keyframe on center and size, back to frame 45. Then we want to decrease the size a little bit. As we decrease our size, not all the way, we just want to pull this down, put the Y on 0.3, and then just decrease the size all the way. And open the spline window, so select everything, S on your keyboard, and drag these last parts out. So let's finish up this animation with a couple of finishing touches. So the first thing I'm gonna add is a merge node below the circle background, right? On the circle background, drag this text plus and connect it to this merge. Open the inspector, type in anything that you want, change the font to Beva's New, bold, increase the size a little bit. And then I've got a little color palette here. This is a color palette that I got from the website coolers.co. You can generate your own color palette to fit your design. I think it's very important to generate color palettes so that the colors of your design is cohesive and it fits together. It just looks better and it looks more professional. So I'm going to change this to the yellow on this palette. Go to shading and then appearance to outline. Dial the thickness down to 0.002. Copy this text, paste an instance of that on top of the circle background and connect it to that merge. Now I'm going to go to shading again, de-instance appearance, and then I'm going to select solid. Go to this merge, the top merge, and change this from normal to multiply. And now our text blends in with the paper texture in the background. Selecting the text node, go to frame 50, add a keyframe on right on, then go back to like frame 65, add another keyframe there, go back to frame 50, and then pull this down all the way. When you're done with your animation, it should look something like this. If you like this type of content, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.